safer world is possible, and together we can and will make it happen. Thank you.
When you show up in community, you find that group that makes you feel like home, but oftentimes you also find yourself again.
Hello and a warm welcome to SUSSEXFUL. I'm your host, Emma, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe to SUSSEXFUL for your daily dose of truth, clarity, and receipts. Now, in today's video, we're diving into something very interesting. Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's sister, Rachel Johnson, has claimed that people didn't like Meghan Sussex because she talked about periods, racism, and women's empowerment, subjects she says are too triggering for this country. But let's be honest, these topics didn't suddenly appear when Meghan joined the royal family. She was already speaking about women's rights, equality, and empowerment long before she married Harry. So what exactly is Rachel talking about? Meghan didn't change. The reaction to Meghan changed. And that reaction said far more about the UK tabloids and certain public figures than it ever did about Meghan. This is why we love Meghan, you know. She's a breath of fresh air, someone willing to speak about real issues, move with the times, and stand up for women everywhere. So let's break this all down. Breaking the silence. Meghan Sussex's unapologetic voice of change. In a cultural landscape often mired in uncomfortable silences, Meghan Sussex emerged as a transformative figure unafraid to confront systemic issues that many preferred to sweep under the royal rug. Her candid discussions about menstrual health, racial inequality, and women's empowerment weren't just conversations. They were revolutionary statements that challenged long-standing institutional norms. While critics like Rachel Johnson attempted to paint her outspokenness as disruptive, Meghan's advocacy represented precisely the breath of fresh air the British establishment desperately needed. Her willingness to speak truth to power, a trait she consistently demonstrated even before her royal marriage, marked her as a courageous public figure willing to prioritize meaningful dialogue over diplomatic restraint. Far from being a disruption, her voice symbolized progress, challenging archaic perspectives and inspiring a generation to demand transparency, equality, and genuine social change. Breaking the silence. Meghan's bold advocacy for uncomfortable truths. Long before her royal wedding, Meghan Markle was never one to shy away from challenging societal taboos, fearlessly discussing topics that made the British establishment squirm, from menstrual equity and systemic racism to women's empowerment. Her willingness to confront these triggered subjects head-on marked her as a progressive voice in a traditionally conservative landscape, consistently speaking truth to power even before joining the Windsor clan. While the British media and certain royal commentators recoiled at her candor, Meghan's unapologetic approach to addressing these critical social issues represented precisely the kind of modern, transparent dialogue needed to push cultural conversations forward, challenging deeply entrenched norms and forcing uncomfortable but necessary discussions about discrimination, gender inequality, and societal expectations. The Royal Critique, Rachel Johnson's rebuke of Meghan's advocacy. In a revealing commentary that, really echoes the persistent criticisms of the British establishment, Rachel Johnson, who is the sister of former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, has taken aim at Meghan Markle's outspoken nature, dismissing her advocacy on sensitive topics like racism, women's empowerment, and menstrual health as, problematically disruptive. Johnson's remarks reflect a deeper institutional discomfort with Meghan's willingness to challenge long-standing social norms and speak candidly about issues that have traditionally been swept under the royal carpet, suggesting that her straightforward approach, which, by the way, predates her marriage to Prince Harry, is seen as a threatening departure from the carefully controlled royal messaging of the past. Breaking barriers, Meghan's transformative presence in the British royal landscape. Meghan Markle emerged as a refreshing disruptor in the calcified world of British royalty, bringing an unprecedented authenticity that, honestly, challenged long-standing institutional norms. Her willingness to candidly discuss traditionally taboo subjects like mental health, systemic racism, and women's empowerment represented a real paradigm shift from the reserved, stiff upper lip approach that had defined the monarchy for generations. By speaking openly about her experiences and championing progressive dialogues, she breathed new life into an archaic institution, resonating deeply with younger generations who, let's face it, craved genuine representation and transparent leadership. Despite facing significant pushback from traditional royal circles, Meghan's unapologetic approach signaled a potential modernization of the royal narrative, proving that true leadership isn't about maintaining a facade, but about creating meaningful connections and driving social discourse forward. The royal resistance, a systemic pushback against progressive dialogue. The British establishment's visceral recoil from Meghan's candid conversations about deeply entrenched societal issues reveals a profound institutional discomfort with challenging historical narratives. Her willingness to openly discuss systemic racism, gender inequality, and personal vulnerabilities struck at the calcified core of a monarchy accustomed to maintaining carefully curated public personas. The royal institution, long protected by an unspoken protocol of silence and stoicism, found itself confronted by a modernizing force unwilling to perpetuate generational suppression of uncomfortable truths. By bringing topics like mental health, racial discrimination, and women's empowerment into mainstream royal discourse, Meghan exposed the archaic mechanisms that had long sustained an unquestioned social hierarchy, threatening the very foundations of an aristocratic system deeply resistant to meaningful introspection and change. Breaking barriers, Meghan's unshakable commitment to social justice. Long before stepping into the royal spotlight, Meghan Markle demonstrated a consistent and unwavering commitment to addressing critical social issues. Her advocacy for women's empowerment, racial equality, and systemic challenges predated her marriage to Prince Harry, revealing a deeply rooted personal philosophy that really transcended royal protocols. Whether she was speaking about menstrual equity, challenging racial stereotypes, or highlighting marginalized voices, Meghan maintained her principled stance both before and after joining the British royal family. These weren't just opportunistic talking points, but genuine convictions she had championed throughout her professional and personal life, proving that her authentic voice simply couldn't be silenced by institutional expectations or traditional constraints. Her continued advocacy demonstrated that her core values weren't a temporary performance, but a lifelong commitment to creating meaningful social change, regardless of her public platform or personal circumstances. The Duchess of Sussex, a beacon of empowerment and authenticity. In the swirling landscape of royal drama and public scrutiny, Meghan Markle's supporters have emerged as a powerful chorus of solidarity, passionately rallying behind her unapologetic stance on critical social issues. Fans across the globe have consistently expressed their love and appreciation for the Duchess, celebrating her courage in addressing uncomfortable but necessary conversations about racism, women's empowerment, and systemic inequalities. Her authentic voice, honed long before her royal marriage and undimmed by institutional pressures, has resonated deeply with supporters who see her as a breath of fresh air in a traditionally rigid royal landscape. Where others might have remained silent, Meghan has consistently chosen to speak truth to power, challenging outdated narratives and inspiring a generation of women who refuse to be silenced or marginalized. transforming personal challenges into powerful platforms for meaningful social dialogue. Breaking barriers. Meghan's bold stand for social progress. In a landscape often mired by rigid traditionalism, Meghan Markle emerged as a transformative force, unafraid to challenge deeply entrenched societal norms. Her willingness to candidly discuss uncomfortable yet critical topics like systemic racism, gender inequality, and women's reproductive health represented a radical departure from the polite, sanitized discourse typically expected of royal figures. By leveraging her platform to amplify marginalized voices and push for meaningful social change, she demonstrated a remarkable courage that really transcended the conventional boundaries of her royal role. Meghan didn't just speak about progress, she actively embodied it, challenging the status quo with an unapologetic commitment to addressing complex social issues that many preferred to keep hidden beneath a veneer of diplomatic silence. Breaking the silence. Meghan's courageous path to social change. In an era of carefully curated public personas, Meghan Markle emerged as a refreshingly bold catalyst for societal transformation, unapologetically addressing uncomfortable yet critical conversations about racism, women's empowerment, and systemic inequities. Her willingness to leverage her platform to illuminate marginalized experiences represents more than mere celebrity activism. It's a deliberate strategy of using visibility to challenge long-entrenched narratives. By speaking candidly about issues like menstrual health, racial discrimination, and gender disparities, she disrupted the traditional royal communication model, transforming her role from a passive figurehead to an active agent of progressive dialogue. Her authentic approach resonated particularly with younger generations, who hunger for genuine leadership that transcends performative gestures, inspiring countless individuals to view their own potential for creating meaningful social change as not just possible, but necessary.